Hey guys, Ben from Fit Films here. Today we're going to start off the Star Wars series by reviewing Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Alright, so the story begins with the Trade Federation blockading Naboo, which of course kind of creates some disruption in the galaxy. Two Jedi are quickly sent in to sort of negotiate and calm the waters a little bit, but shortly after they arrive, Palpatine actually orders the Trade Federation to kill them both, which leads to some pretty cool fight scene. And that's one of the things I really love about this opening scene. I think this opening scene is really good because from the start it sets kind of this like really on-edge tone. You know, they get there to try to calm the waters, but at the same time, you know something's up, you know something's going to go down. You get to see two Jedi right away, and it doesn't waste much time getting into the action. So.
Yeah, but on the contrary, you got them being gassed out in that room, and they're like holding their breath forever, waiting for the droids to make a move. Like, you're gonna die if you sit in there for 5 minutes. Go out there and do something, you know? Take action.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, but when you get to see their blades like emerge out of the gas, it's pretty sweet. So.
Shortly after their encounter with the attackers, the two Jedi escape through a ventilation shaft and find tons of battle-ready droids preparing to invade the planet. Realizing they gotta warn Naboo, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon decide to board a Confederate ship and go to the planet's surface. Once there, they find arguably the worst, not even arguably, the worst character in Star Wars history. I mean, this evil asshole ruins the entire experience for me. I mean, this guy just beats me over the head so hard. I can't put myself to pop in the movie. I just can't do that. But essentially, he leads them to the rest of the Gungans, and they, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon warn him, saying, "Hey, you got all these guys coming to invade your planet. You guys got to do something about it." Like, Boss Nass is like, "Dude, no, we hate the Naboo people. Like, you guys are going to die." But, essentially they say, we're not going to help you out. So they got to go talk to Padme.
Alright, so despite the Jedi and Jar Jar, who I am a lot more forgiving towards than this guy, whatever. Despite them not being able to convince Boss Nass to join the fight against the invaders, he does lend them a ship, which they use, it's for the water, which they use to travel to Theed, which is where Queen Amidala is.
And I'd just like to say, Natalie Portman is the perfect casting. She is hot as hell. Named my car after her, slightly predatorial toward her, but she is the best thing to ever happen in my life. Only thing me and George will disagree upon.
I mean, she's great. Natalie is fantastic.
And Ian,
she just, it all came together. She was perfect, I only had to do 2 takes. She really had it down. She was great. Just great.
So after they rescue Queen Amidala, her, the Jedi, and Jar Jar travel to Coruscant, which is pretty much the headquarters of the Galactic Republic, and it's where the Jedi Temple is. And as they're trying to go there, they are attacked and are forced to crash land on Tatooine.
I'd just like to say the astromech scene is awesome here because you can see a green R2-D2. It's like, oh, these things are sweet. You get variety. You get to see the main purpose of astromech droids before the original trilogy. I think that's pretty cool.
It's also a really good introduction to R2. It's a nice way to introduce him in, and
I agree.
It's cool that you get to see him in the first movie. So,
shortly after their crash landing, Qui-Gon decides to go into town and get some parts. From there, he goes into Watto's shop and quickly discovers that he can't afford the parts. And after a few poorly timed mind tricks, he decides to get out of there. And on his way out, Watto's young slave Anakin decides, "Hey man, you can come eat with me."
So while they're eating dinner, we get to learn a lot more about Anakin. We learn that he's a really skilled builder. Like, he built C-3PO. We get to see C-3PO in this scene, which is really cool. We also learn that he is a talented pod racer, and he actually offers to enter this pod race in order to help them get the money they need to, repair their ship and get off the planet. And so he races in this pod race and actually wins it. And it's one of the most impressive parts of this entire movie. Visually stunning, even by today's standards. It looks great. It's really exciting. It's a great scene. So after he wins, Qui-Gon really starts to catch on to the fact that Anakin's this really powerful. Let's say he has a lot of potential.
Jedi,
yeah, potential Jedi. He has a lot of potential, and so he actually offers to take Anakin with him, and to train him as a Jedi. And we get this really touching scene where he's leaving his mom, and people rip on Jake Lloyd's acting. It's really good in this scene. And it's, I can't remember the actress who played the mom, but she's also really good. It's a good touching scene. Right before they leave, Darth Maul actually shows up. It's the first time we get to see him use the lightsaber a little bit. He fights Qui-Gon as they're trying to leave the planet, and it's a pretty cool fight scene. And one thing that's
good
great,
introduction.
it's great, is that they don't use both blades yet. They leave that for later. It's
even though you probably got smash in the face that in the trailers, like, oh, he's got 2. That's why I'm going to go see the movie.
It's just nice to, like, that they leave that for the end. They don't, like,
Yeah,
they don't spoil it. They don't spoil it.
Once they finally arrive at Coruscant, Padme asks the Senate for help, while Qui-Gon introduces Anakin to the Jedi Council. Now, the Council doesn't want to train Anakin because they feel he's too old and that his mind's filled with conflict that they feel would just be too risky to have around. Despite this, Qui-Gon vouches to train him himself, so... While this is happening, Padme's request was turned down by the human welcome mat Chancellor Valorum. Outraged, the rest of the Senate decides to re-elect a new Chancellor in Sheev Palpatine.
So this is a huge, like, plot piece of the entire Star Wars series, because this is really where Palpatine kind of gains that initial power, and from here it just continues to grow until he becomes eventually Emperor, for all of you who have seen the original trilogy, which I am certain that pretty much everybody on Earth has. So, alright, so once Chancellor Palpatine replaces Chancellor Valorum, Padme is finally successful in getting help for her planet, and she travels back to the planet along with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, who are ordered to accompany her. She meets up with Anakin, yeah, and she meets up with Boss Nass, and finally, let's say, makes amends with him, and they agree to work together in order to fight the invasion.
So this leads to the big climax of the movie that's split into 3 parts. In one part, you got Padme leading the charge to capture the Confederate leader Viceroy. In another, you got the Gungans fighting the droids in an open playing field. And in the last one, you got Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fighting Darth Maul, which is arguably one of the best fights in Star Wars history. As it's well choreographed, it's fast paced, and you get to see a double blade lightsaber for the first time, which is badass.
Mm-hmm. And although it's not to the same extent as, say, in the original trilogy, at the end of the fight, you really get some good emotion out of Obi-Wan when he sees Qui-Gon's death. It really kind of turns it on for the last bit of that fight, and it's super cool. So
yeah, it was a lame way to kill off Maul. Well, kill off. I don't like the new Clone Wars. Forget it. He's dead. But it's a lame way to kill off Darth Maul, I think. So. All
right. So to cap off the movie, Padme captures the Viceroy. Anakin, after previously inadvertently joining the fight in space, miraculously destroys the Trade Confederation ship. Peace is made on Naboo between the Gungans and Padme's people. And Obi-Wan becomes a Jedi Knight, and Anakin becomes his apprentice due to Qui-Gon, as we mentioned, being dead now. So,
overall, this movie suffers from great pacing issues outside of the lightsaber fights, and Jar Jar completely trashes most of it for me. I have trouble popping this movie in where I'm thinking, let's watch a Star Wars movie. This is the last one that comes to mind. That being said, there is some redeeming factors like the lightsaber fights and the pod race and Astromech scene, which I don't know why I love so much, but I do. And, of course, Natalie Portman, because she's just great. She's great.
I'm much more forgiving of this movie than most people. It's not that bad. Like, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. There's tons of great things here. Lightsaber fights are awesome. The pod race is great. Pacing can be kind of, iffy here and there, but I would say overall, it's not that bad. It's got an interesting story. The music is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. The acting is not as bad as people make it out to be also. There's a lot of good aspects here.
Yeah, also, great special editions disc. Watch that be.
With all these factors in mind, our final grades for the movie are...
Hey guys, thanks again for watching. Please subscribe and stay tuned for our next installment in the Star Wars series, Attack of the Clones.